Do you want to be 70 years old, still trying to hit your Q2 numbers? Or do you believe God might have more for your life? Welcome to The Christian Agent, the podcast for real estate professionals who want to win at work without losing at life. I'm Garrett Maroon, a husband, father of four, and a real estate leader who's done the hustle, burned out, and found a better way. If you're tired of defining your worth by sales numbers, if you're feeling the pressure to fit a mold that doesn't align with your calling, if you believe that God has more for your life than just closings and commission checks, this show is for you. Each week, we talk faith, business, family, identity, and how to build a real estate career that fuels your life instead of consuming it. I'll share my own journey, bring on guests who get it, and give you tools to create what I call the balanced breakthrough. Let's go against the grain. Let's do this God's way. Let's redefine success together. This is The Christian Agent. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the Christian Agent Podcast. I am so glad that you have joined me once again today as we dive into, I think, a really important topic. Now, we're working through a series of 6 different episodes. You've seen the first 3 of 6 different episodes that really unpack, I think, the balanced breakthrough beliefs. And here's what I mean. The first one is I want you to let go of these first 3. I want you to let go of I'm only as good as my next sale. Let go of I've got to fit a mold instead of elevating the natural gifts the Lord has given me. And finally, let go of the fact that success is only defined by how many homes you sell and how much money you make. I want you to let go of this lie the real estate industry keeps selling you. Well, now we're moving into 3 beliefs that I want you to start adopting. That there is an exit strategy. You don't have to sell homes forever. That you can win in work without losing at life. That's next week and 2 weeks from now. That ultimately your job in real estate is to figure out who you are and be excellent at that. So today we're going to tackle the first belief that I want you to start adopting. That what if there is a way out and you're not meant to die at the closing table? We're going to dive into that because I don't think anyone at the end of the day wants to be in this business for year after year after year with no exit strategy. And then ultimately you just die at the closing table. And I'll share a little bit of my own personal story and how we got to this point. But before I do, as always, I'd love to share this joke with you. This actually comes from a good friend of mine, Connie Shell. Some of you may know her, but Connie, shout out to you. She sometimes texts me with jokes, and it's amazing, and I'm so proud of her. She said, Garrett, did you hear they discovered a fart from a dinosaur? Yeah, it was a real blast from the past. Connie, fantastic. Keep them coming. Anybody else, if you've got one, send them my way. I always waste too much time trying to find a joke that you would like. So I'd love for you to send them to me. All right, let's move into this. The reality is that there is an exit strategy now in the real estate industry that you don't have to sell houses for the rest of your life. Here's the reality. Most agents are stuck in a cycle that never ends. You work to live and then you live to work, but there's another way. There's an exit strategy that honors both your gifts and your future, right? Because if you stop selling tomorrow, what would happen to your income? I've been coaching for a long time, and I remember asking a woman, she was out in North Dakota. She had a great business, selling 40 homes a year by herself. And I remember asking her, she was getting towards retirement age. She was about 5 years away. And she says, or I asked her the question, hey, so when you get to that 5 years, what's the plan? Like, what's the exit strategy? What's the retirement plan? And she said, I don't know. I guess I'll just stop selling. And I was like, that's a terrible strategy, right? But the reality is, I think if you stop and think for just a moment, what's your exit strategy, right? Because I think the reality is most agents don't retire. They just slowly fade out, burned out, and maybe broke. Maybe they have money saved. Maybe they don't. That's not a good way for a real estate agent to retire, nor do I desire for us to be stuck in an industry that was meant to give us life and freedom and time freedom and all the things just to realize that we're actually stuck in the very thing that was meant to give us the life we were looking for. That very thing is now the wall that's in the way. I really want us to understand this, right? That to have a real talk, right? Because the truth is, you don't retire. The agents around you don't retire because one day they just stop selling and all of a sudden their income goes away. Now, maybe if they've done a good job, they've saved for retirement, they put money away, maybe they've invested in some real estate. But let's be honest, most agents, that's not our scenario. Most of us think, well, this next closing is going to pay for that new car, right? Or this next closing is paying for that vacation. We're not necessarily thinking in advance of how to make sure that one day we're going to want to stop. So we don't have an exit strategy. You weren't meant to die at the closing table, right? If real estate doesn't have a retirement plan, let's fix that. And if you right now are building your business, you're building a career, the question is, are you building a future also? Here's the reality. Here's the truth. You don't have to sell homes forever. You don't. The industry has changed now, and not all of us are aware of that, and that's okay. But there are now smarter models that exist in this industry that offer things like revenue share that let you build ownership over time, right? So I'm just going to have some real talk with you because part of my passion for Christian agents is to help us see that there's a better way. There's a better way for us to do this business, not only in terms of what income we can make, right? We're on this hamster wheel of I sell a house and I get a commission, and I sell a house and I get a commission. And trust me, it is a good wheel to be on, right? The Lord is gracious because the kind of income we can create in this industry is awesome. And the kind of freedom we can create is awesome. The opportunity we have is amazing. But the reality is we're stuck on this hamster wheel, and who wins? Right? At the end of the day, this traditional brokerage model, who wins? Well, the broker does. As long as we show up and we do deals, they keep getting paid, we keep getting paid, right? The minute we say, I want to slow down, they're going to kick us out, right? Because we don't bring value to them anymore. Most brokerages benefit from your hustle, but they don't help you build any long-term wealth. And I started to realize this, right? I started to realize this. I was 10 years into the industry. I was selling 50 plus homes a year, and I was super grateful for that. But at the end of the day, on January 1, I had to show up and do it all over again. Every single year. Now, I was young, right? I was 37 when I left, but I was young. I'd been in the industry 10 years. I started when I was 27 years old. And the reality is I did it, and it was going really well. And the Lord was extremely kind to me as I was building out my business. Yes, I was gaining more freedom. Yes, I had more flexibility in my schedule. I found an amazing rock star agent who became my lead agent and took a lot of the deals. So I had more free time to start a podcast, write a book, right? Start the Faithful Agent community, all of those things that are good and I'm so grateful for. But what I've realized is I've tried to help agents along the way is that's not a common scenario for most of us. Most of us, we get stuck doing deal after deal after deal. Now, again, don't hear me say that that's a bad thing. Selling houses is an amazing thing. Not only an opportunity for income, it's a great opportunity for gospel. It's a great opportunity to develop and deepen relationships. It's a great opportunity to serve people. There are so many good things about it. But here's the point. What I want for you is more than just getting stuck in the transaction cycle over and over and over again. I want you to have the ability to actually start building something for the long term. And I'm going to share this quick story, and I'm going to dive into a little more of this real talk and challenge you a little bit to think maybe a little bit differently. We were having a conversation. I was having a conversation with a gentleman in Canada who I won't name, who is an amazing man of God and an amazing business owner. He's been in real estate for a very, very long time. He's in his 80s. And we're having a conversation with him. Many of you listening know that I launched the 210 Collective. I'm going to explain what that is here in just a minute, but launched the 210 Collective. So we're talking to him about this, right? And he shares with us that 4 years ago, his wife had passed away, been married for a really long time. And he says, Garrett, I really believe that I should write a book on grief. I really believe the Lord is calling me to write a book on grief. I'm like, man, that's an amazing thing. My business partner, Dave, says, hey, well, just curious, why haven't you written that book? And his answer was very telling. He said, truthfully, I've been too busy selling houses. It's the same concept over and over and over again that we hear. I'm too busy selling houses. I can't get to the thing I really want to do. Well, agents, what if the Lord is calling you to something else? Now, maybe the Lord is calling you specifically to keep selling and to sell 100 homes, 200 homes, build a massive team, whatever it is, or sell 10 homes a year, 5 homes a year, and homeschool your kids. That's good and right and godly. But for some of us, the Lord is saying, I want you to do this. And we're using the excuse of, well, I got to keep selling homes. Real estate is kind of in the way at this point, and I don't know how to get out of that. What if the Lord is calling you to something else? I'm not going to say bigger or better, because that would downplay the reality that whatever the Lord calls you to is good and right. So if it's to sell homes to the glory of God. If it's to write a book on grief, then write a book on grief to the glory of God. But if it's to write a book and you let real estate stay in the way, there's a problem, and we've got to figure that out. Because what if the Lord verbally told you, which he won't, but what if he did verbally tell you, I want you to write this book on grief? You would do whatever you've got to do to make that happen. But for some reason, we fall back into the comfort zone of, well, I sell houses, I'm a little bit too busy. What if there's a better way? That maybe you can stop selling as many houses and start doing that thing the Lord wants you to do? What if you can stop selling so many houses and start pouring more into other Christian agents? What if you could stop selling so many houses so you could start picking up your kids from school? What if you could stop selling so many houses so you could finally write that book? That's what we're talking about. There's a better way, right? The traditional real estate brokerage model, which has worked for a long time, is here's your split. You're a solo agent. We're going to give you some value. You sell a house. We always make our cut. We always make our cut. We always make our cut, right? Then Keller Williams Realty came around, who I was with for 10 years and love Keller Williams. They came around and said, you know what? We're going to put a cap on it. You're going to pay us, but it's going to cap at X amount of dollars. For me, it was $28,000. After you pay us $28,000, you don't pay us anymore. Right? They created this idea of a cap. And then they introduced the idea of profit sharing. That, hey, if you help agents join us and they join the company and you support them, if we make money, if our local market center makes money, we'll share a little bit of that with you. Awesome idea. Most entrepreneurial model by far, especially when they launched. Well, then a company, EXP, came along, and there's been many cloud-based companies that have come along after it. And honestly, I think we'll continue to see more cloud-based companies pop up, because EXP is like the Amazon. They changed the way the game worked, and I'm going to explain that, but they changed the way the game worked. Other companies see that, and now they got to go copy that same model. That's okay. That's good. Everyone's trying to be Amazon in the e-commerce space. That's good. That's right. That's how business works. Well, EXP came around. Actually, the founder, Glenn Sanford, was one of Gary Keller at Keller Williams, one of his top 100 agents. And he actually pitched to Gary Keller, hey, I want this. This is my idea. What if we were this cloud-based company? What if we created revenue share, all these different pieces? And Gary Keller, which was totally his right, said, no, I don't think so. That's not right for our company. So Glenn Sanford left with other people, and he launched eXp Realty. He said, we're going to be the first online cloud-based company. Now, here was the main benefits, right? We're going to have a lower cap than Keller Williams does. The cap is $16,000, right? So maybe you're in a traditional model, and it doesn't mean the traditional model is not right where you're supposed to be. Don't hear me say that the Lord wants everyone in a cloud-based company. That's not true, because that's not written down in Scripture. So I cannot tell you that's true, right? You might be exactly where you're supposed to be. You might not be. And maybe you're too closed off that you need to be a little bit more open-minded just to see what else is out there and what the Lord might have for you. And guess what? After that exploration, it might be that you're supposed to be right where you are. Not everybody's supposed to be here. So never hear me say that. However, some of us that are listening need to realize there's maybe something bigger and greater and a different kind of opportunity that exists. So Glenn Sanford came in and said, I'm going to launch eXp Realty, and I'm going to set a low cap on it, $16,000. Now, you might be at a company where you're paying 30% split on everything. I just recently met a gentleman who's an amazing Christian man. He paid his company $60,000 the year before. He could have paid eXp $16,000, right? Immediately saved him $44,000 every single year. Now, if that company is giving him that much value, fantastic. That's something to consider, and maybe he should stick around, right? It's not just about money, so don't hear me say that, but those are things to be aware of. The biggest game changer comes in, and eXp was the founder of this. There are other cloud companies that you can look into as well, right? But eXp was the founder of this. They said, you know what? Not only are you just going to start doing deals, but we've got to solve this retirement problem for agents. So here's what they did. As you do deals, you earn stock. It's a publicly traded company. As you do deals, you can buy their stock at a discount with 5% of your commission, right? Building for the long run, building for the long term, right? So that's huge. Then what they started was, instead of profit share, they said, you know what we're going to do? We're going to do revenue share, which is a big difference. They shifted from profit to revenue. And here's why, right? Because when the market was down, and I was at Keller Williams, again, love Keller Williams. You will never hear me say anything bad about them, because that's where I learned how to build my business. But the last year I was at Keller Williams, that office didn't have a profit. So guess what? I didn't get profit share. And that's okay. They shouldn't pay me if they haven't paid their employees and their staff. That's okay, right? I'm not frustrated about that. But EXP came around and said, we're going to change that profit share into revenue share. And what are we going to do? Not only are we going to give the agents another way to earn income, we're going to incentivize that level of collaboration, of them pouring into one another, and we're going to create opportunity for agents who have the heart to serve other agents and would do it for free anyways, but now can do it in a way that's actually going to provide for their family. EXP in 2024 paid out $220 million to the 90,000 agents that were part of EXP, right? Revenue share is a real thing. So here's what happened. As I was looking out to build my business and take my business to what I thought was the next level, honestly, totally happy at Keller Williams. I was not in a pain point. I was not upset at Keller Williams. I was not disappointed. I was perfectly happy there. But here was the biggest shift for me. I had closed myself off to any other company because I was totally fine where I was, right? And we're creatures of comfort. I didn't want to look. I didn't want to know. I just wanted to stay right where I was because that was easy. Well, finally, here's what happened. The story for me of how I ended up at EXP and launched what's called the 210 Collective for Ephesians 2:10. I launched the Faithful Agent nonprofit community in 2023. The mission, brokerage agnostic, I don't care. Kingdom affiliation trumps brokerage affiliation all day, every day, will forever, right? Our standing before the Lord is infinitely more valuable and important than what brokers are with. Who cares at the end of the day? But here's what happened, right? I kept getting questions from agents in that community. Hey, will you start a faithful agent brokerage nationwide that we can join? Or I'd hear that, or can we get into business together? How can we do that? And these are agents that don't live anywhere near me. I'm in Southeast Virginia. They were all over in the West Coast, in the North, wherever they were. And these are agents that, they couldn't join my team because I didn't have a team that reached that far away. And my thought in joining a brokerage, one, I'd ask my friends who owned independent brokerages, they say, don't do it. It's not worth it. And I didn't know that Fair Housing would let me start a Christian agent brokerage. So here was the challenge. At the end of the day, I couldn't solve that problem. Here were my Christian brothers and sisters saying, how do we get into business together? We want to be in business together. We recognize 2 Corinthians is clear to not be unequally yoked. So how do we do this together? And I didn't know how to solve that problem. And so thankfully, I'm sitting down with a brother of mine, Dave Caggiano, who'd been in EXP for a while. He'd been talking to me about it. And again, I was like, dude, I'm totally good. I'm really glad you like it there. I'm perfectly fine. There was no desire for me to make a shift. But I was telling him that so many agents were asking me, how do we get Christian agents into business together? And I was telling them that. And the frustration for me, I can't figure that out. Well, he said, you know what? We can do that here. We can build out an organization specifically for Christian agents, and we can get into business with Christian agents, give them resources, coach them, train them, encourage them, and be in community with one another literally all over the world. EXP's in 29 different countries. We can do that with agents all over the world. And best part of it, Garrett, every resource you have, all the ways that you want to serve these agents, guess what? It won't cost them a dime to be in business with us. It won't cost them a dime for you to get to pour into them and our other business partners to get to pour into them. It won't cost them a dime because all they're doing is, as we help them become more successful, agents are paying EXP. EXP is rewarding us with, hey, good job. Way to help that agent, right? Way to help them grow. It's created the highest level of collaboration in this industry I've ever seen because now we want to pour into one another, but also we can build a business by pouring into one another and helping one another succeed in this industry. The level of collaboration is incredible. And here's the beauty behind the entire thing, right? The entire thing is most agents, we need to show up and we need to be better at selling homes, 100%. That's for most of us, I'd say 98% of us, that's where our focus needs to be. Here's the beauty of it. The 2% who maybe don't need to worry about that, but wanted to help other agents do just that, For me, for example, I was charging between $1,000 and $2,000 a month to coach. Guess what? Now people in my world at the 210 Collective at EXP, I don't charge them a dime. And I get to pour into them and help them grow and help them succeed in ways that are going to bless their family, take them from 5 to 10 to 20 deals a year, which is going to change the trajectory of their family forever. And in return, EXP says, good job. We're going to reward you, Garrett, because you helped this agent become more successful. So I'm coaching and helping and training and not charging these agents for it. All of a sudden, agents could get access to it without a paywall. All of a sudden, agents could be in business with other Christian agents literally all around the globe and share resources and encouragement and help one another grow in a faith community where we actually are in business together. And we can do it by selling homes, by building a business, by building a future, because along the way, we're no longer just agents who are on the transaction treadmill. We sell homes, we earn stock, we earn revenue share. Now we're building for the future. My heart is that one day, agent, you can say, you know what? I've loved my time in real estate, and I want to start slowing down. And you're in a model that says, great. Here's the way that you start taking all that you've learned and that heart as a Christian to pour into others. Here's how you start pouring into other agents to help encourage them, disciple them, mentor them in their life, wherever they live, help them sell more homes, or maybe just be an ear and listen to them and the challenges that they have going on. What beauty that is in this industry. And you can turn around and do that, and you can earn an income. You can earn a living doing that without selling homes. You can earn an income. The best part is, in my opinion, as we build that out by loving and serving other Christian agents. That's an incredible thing. The best part is Proverbs 13:22 says, a good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children. As you build that out, as you serve more agents, as you care for them, right? Because you are going to go from I'm selling as many homes as I possibly can to one day I want to slow down. And now you can be in a model that says you've already been earning stock. You've had that opportunity. You've earned some revenue share. Now you shift to, now I just want to love on and care for other Christian agents because this is what I know and this is my industry and I want to love on them. And EXP says, great, you can earn while you do that. Now you get to shift and say, I'm going to create this stream of income by loving on others. And guess what happens? When you die, you can will that stream of income to your kids, to your wife, to your husband. Now, all of a sudden, we're by caring for others, collaborating with others, helping other Christian agents succeed. Now we're creating wealth that we can pass on to our children. We're creating inheritance that we can pass on to our grandchildren. We're creating opportunity for the generations behind us because we loved and helped Christian agents succeed. That's an incredible thing. My challenge to you is, have you ever built anything that keeps paying you even when you stop working? Because Christian agent, here's what I need you to hear. Again, it doesn't mean that you're not exactly where you're supposed to be. But just because you're comfortable doesn't mean you're in the right place. Have an open mind. See perhaps where the Lord wants you to go. And I don't know. The Lord has already decided where he wants you to be. It's my responsibility to share with you what has been a game changer. It has changed the trajectory of my family. It's changed the future of my family to not only learn how to sell more homes with the level of collaboration I'm having with these incredible people all over the world, but now to participate in stock, participate in revenue share, because now there's a way out. There's a way that I built this business for year after year after year that one day I can say to my bride, one day I can say to my kids, Daddy's going to start slowing down. Not all of a sudden to give away all my money. Daddy's going to start slowing down because now this other form of income is kicked in. That's what I want for you. To be able to build something that keeps paying you even when you stop working. And the cherry on top is to do it surrounded by Christians all over the world. What a blessing that is. Brothers and sisters in Christ, there are models like that now that exist. And they're all over, and the more and more are coming. And I'd love to have that conversation with you and hear about your business. I don't know what you're supposed to do. I genuinely don't. It would be my honor to share with you what has been a gift and a blessing to me. For you to have an open mind and just see, maybe understand what's out there. I want to serve you. I want to help you. I want to show you that there's a better way, and it might be the way you're supposed to take. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, maybe a year from now, 2 years from now. It doesn't matter. I just want you to know. I hope that you'll download the free guide, subscribe to the episode, subscribe to the podcast, share this with a friend, and check out the 210 Collective for Ephesians 2:10. We're gathering Christian agents all over the globe to pour into one another, to be into business together, and to honor the Lord with one another. There's a link in the show notes for you to schedule a call with me. I'd love to have that conversation. It'd be my honor just to talk to you about it and hear where you are in your business and see whether or not we could help you. Because that's my heart, is to serve you. And for all Christian agents to know that maybe the Lord is calling you to a different way. And you should honor that call. I love you, Christian agents. This was a different kind of episode, but I genuinely appreciate you listening because my heart is really to help us understand what exists and what's out there. Because my desire at the end of the day is for the Christian agent to be able to have the freedom to walk in whatever purpose the Lord is calling them to. And that selling homes would not be the thing that stands in that way. There's a better way. I love you, Christian agents. I will see you next week.